You're watching TVC Breakfast. Now let's take a look at the headlines across Nigerian newspapers this morning and see what the headlines are. I have joining me here our regulars, and I have Obaniyi Akinwale here with me. Good morning and Happy New Year.
Compliment. Nice
Good to see you.
Same here.
Great.
Yeah.
And I have joining me on Zoom broadcast journalist Ife Onyegbule. Ife, good morning. Okay, she'll join us as we get along. Now let's begin with the Nigerian Tribune. Tribune is the first this morning, and it says federal government formally declares bandits as terrorists. Federal government formally declares bandits as terrorists. That is the story on the Nigerian Tribune. Daily Times is next and is focusing on insecurity. Why state police is not an option. President Buhari is saying this rules out possibility of political solution in Nnamdi Kanu's case. President is on his own over non-acceptance of state police. Pandef is saying this. All right, that's Daily Times. Daily Sun is next, and he says Buhari rejects state police, says no political solution for Nnamdi Kanu. And President's utterances show he's comfortable with killings in the land. That's the PDP is saying this. Right, let's go to Vanguard newspaper. Vanguard focuses on insecurity. Uproar as Buhari says state police not an option. Police officers disrespect to Sanwo-Olu. Unacceptable intrusion. Southwest governors are saying this, and these are all fallouts from recent developments in there. All right, that's the Vanguard newspaper. Let's go to Guardian. The Guardian says Southwest governors counter Buhari on state police, insist on Amotekun. Why state police is not an option. Buhari defends his own stance on that. PDP chair president is comfortable with killings in the land. Southwest governors fault current federalism, condemns police officers' disrespect of Sanwo-Olu, and several other riders are there as well, and insists Lagos must deploy Amotekun now. All right, these are all fallouts from the recent development from Magodo. I understand that's how it's called. Obaniyi will attest to that. Magodo, not Magodo. That's really interesting. All right, the Punch newspaper is next. Punch newspaper says PDP others kick as Buhari dismisses state police, insists on grazing routes. Opposition party Afenifere carpet president for saying state police not an option. Ohaneze plans meeting. President dismisses plea for Nnamdi Kanu's release. And we have to go back to grazing routes to address farmers, herders clashes. That's Buhari is saying that. All right, that's the Punch newspaper. Right, this Nigeria is next and is talking about state police. IU tackles Buhari. Okay, Yochayu is the chairman of the People's Democratic Party. As president says, it will encourage power abuse. Okay, Southwest governors consider a Amotekun option, and slam police for disrespecting Sanwo-Olu. Okay, that's this Nigeria. From there, let's go to First News. 2023 is the focus here. If I name my candidate, they'll eliminate him. Buhari is quoted as saying this from his interview 24 hours ago. If I name my candidate, they'll eliminate him. That's the president saying that. Daily Trust is next and is focusing on 2023. I don't care who succeeds me. Buhari is saying this. If I mention my preferred candidate, he'll be eliminated. President says IPOB leader Kanu can't be released. And DP kicks as Buhari rules out state police. Okay, PDP rather. Right, that's Daily Trust. Blueprint newspaper. And Blueprint says 2023 presidency, Buhari keeps Tinubu Osinbajo, Bello Fayemi in suspense. Says, I won't name my successor for fear of elimination. Discuss political favor and all of that. All right, that's a Blueprint newspaper. All right, let's go to the Nation newspaper. The Nation newspaper says, Buhari, why I won't disclose my preferred 2023 candidate. Decision to protect likely successor. And I'll sign electoral amendment bill when reworked. Okay. All right. They're talking about the electoral amendment bill. From the reports we got, they're talking about the issue of the inclusion of consensus candidates and all of the other issues that go around with it, giving political parties options rather than having only one way out when it comes to how to select or elect their presidential flag bearers or their chief executives or flag bearers at whatever level. That's the Nation newspaper. Leadership newspaper is next. It's clear APC won't hold convention in February. That's what Leadership is saying. And windows closed as notification time to INEC elapsed Friday. And party leadership yet to ratify membership register. Reconciliation process still ongoing. And stakeholders caution against stampeding party into convention. A security report favors consensus candidacy. All right, all that on the front page of the Leadership newspaper. News Direct is next. And News Direct says 10 naira excise duty, Nigerians to pay on carbonated drinks, non-alcoholic beverages. Decision negates federal government's economic recovery, job creation aspirations. Muda Yusuf is saying that, the former DG of the LCCI, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Now, that's the News Direct. National Economy is next. And he says administrative procedures slow the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement takeoff 1 year after. Administrative procedures slow the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement takeoff 1 year after. Okay, that's the National Economy. Business Day now says, Business Day says, inside Mafab's plan to become major Nigerian telco. Okay. That's Business Day. Okay, those are some of the headlines from across Nigerian newspapers. Let's see what all of these things hold and make sense of them. All right. Now, the point there is, it was cheering news to some people who were hearing it for the first time. That, okay, all the bandits now have been, declared as terrorists. However, some people felt, well, the Pandey should have been done long before now. But basically, what Nigerians have been clamoring for, it has finally come, formally.
Yeah, I think for me, it's a mixed feelings for me, mixed feeling because I say it with every emphasis that I think a couple of months back, I asked this question on the phone that perhaps in our forest, there is a news that there is banditry found around that area. And I asked the question then that, is our people ready for the Makapi dance of Super Tucano jets in their sky? And yes, it is high time that these enemies of state are properly dealt with. But I think one thing that we should also be very, very conscious of is that, except we are trying to fool ourselves in this country, we also understand that these criminal elements have infiltrated every part of this country. Call it west, call it south, call it east. And if you look at the utterances of the governor of Kaduna State a few days ago, he said he was postulating that there should be carpet bombing of these criminal elements. So if by gazetting them now as full terrorists, what it means is that the Nigerian army can deploy full force. But the question we need to ask ourselves is that, our people in Ipokia, our people in Igogo, also ready to see this military equipment coming to their terrain without saying the area is being militarized. So, good, Mr. President, for the first time for me, come out boldly to say that it's for everybody and it's for nobody, because it took us no time to actually gazette IPOB as a terrorist organization, also to proscribe every activity of IPOB. But it took us this while, they need to gazette, they need call judgment, front and back, president needs to do this and what have you. But eventually we see have it, which is good. But what we now look at is that it's not enough for FG to formally declare bandits as terrorists. what is important for us is that let FG immediately take action to do what is being done globally to terrorists should be done to terrorists infected Clive in Kaduna, in Zamfara, in Sokoto, in our borderlines, even in Niger, so that at the end of the day, people of Plateau in Jos could have some substantial peace. I read in a newspaper where some people in Zamfara were thanking the governor of their state that for the first time in 2 months, there was no rustling, there was no attack, which is a cheering news. And you see people moving back to, some of us that serve in Borno State, moving back to Damasak, Mongunu, Bama, and what have you, and you are happy that life is going back there, which shows clearly that either we like it or not, either technically defeated or defeated, Nigerian armed forces are doing what they are supposed to do with the provision of right equipment. But nonetheless, we don't want to see this as a headline in a newspaper. What we want to hear tomorrow is that the entire axis of Zamfara, Badamawa, Niger, that there is, as requested by the governor of Kaduna State, there is what is called carpet bombing. Let's wipe off this element and let them for the first time know that the state has the power and the state is using the power.
Yeah, but the point there is the issue of collateral damage is there, where if you are doing a carpet bombing or carpet sweeping, as you, depending on however way it is called, we know that there are still one or two or some persons who have been kidnapped and are within the enclaves or, you know, of these kidnappers or bandits, as the case may be. When you do that kind of carpet sweeping, then it's automatically you're saying all the children, all the women, all the babies, and all the aged in their custody should be wiped out. Unfortunately,
in this kind of country, we don't have database to say Niyi is not a terrorist, Mike is a terrorist. Unfortunately, when those criminal elements come to wipe out villages, they don't identify the women and the children. So it's so sad that.
But that's the difference between the bandits who are not trained, who are not professionals, who are criminals, who are, you know, touts or whatever you call them, and the professionals who are trained and who have
militaries are not trained to be handshaking anybody.
All right, let's bring Ife into this. So, okay, I understand if he's not there yet. Okay, we're trying to connect.
Militaries, that's one of the things I'm trying to say, that gazetting terror or bandits as terrorists, we have to do it with caution. Militaries are not trained to be handshaking or to be smiling. If it is police, if it is the Department of Intelligence Agency, if it's DSS, if it's civil defense, they are trained to relate with human beings. Perhaps military don't relate with civilians. So immediately you see them.
But the point there is, whatever their action is meant to protect the integrity and the people of the...
How do you tell a Tucano that when I drop these 250 pounds of bomb, don't go for the kidnapped victim?
Yeah,
absolutely no way. And that was one of the reasons why they were saying that they are unable to use certain equipment in those areas because of the profile of the criminals.
Clearance.
So now you have a clearance and you have a court injunction says that anybody within this league is a terrorist. And what does our terrorist act stipulate? When you have this, you have to use maximum force. And that's what I'm trying to say over the moment, that we need to be careful, because like you just mentioned, which is right, we have a lot of people kidnapped, you have a lot of people even doing their business, you have a lot of villages that are already captured by these people, that you have people that are not terrorists within them. But when you have a Mi-35 attack, or you have a armor tank to go, are they going to say, okay, move to this side, let me throw, okay, it's only for terrorists? It won't happen. And that's why I'm saying, as much as we want to caution our military to ensure that rule of engagement is practiced, but what is rule of engagement for guerrilla war? What is rule of engagement when they are dropping bombs from the sky? You remember what happened in Iran, that they unfortunately dropped a evil bomb at the IDP camp. You know the number of casualties. So that's exactly what some of us have been saying, that we need to be careful when we are saying bandits are terrorists. Nonetheless, it is not enough to allow this criminal element to continue to hold us to ransom. But if it has to happen, it will have to happen. Look at what happened in Zamfara. The 2G guy had to release about 56 and 72. And I love what Governor Rufai has always been saying. He said the bandits or the terrorists should go and get their forgiveness from heaven. Send them to heaven to go and get their forgiveness, which is absolutely true. So no matter how much you want to be emotional about it, or want to have emotional feeling about it, when you deploy military equipment, you deploy Air Forces equipment into the sky to dance, they won't be able to identify who. It's going to be spot killing. If you drop a 200 pounds of bomb into the floor, you know how more rapidly expanded. Even not only that, the effect of those equipment, or the effect of those bombs, even on the ground itself, it's something that calls for a serious concern. So what I'm saying in essence is that if I pray that Ebubeagu and Amotekun is going to do a very tremendous job in the west and in the southeast to ensure that the infiltration of the band does not come to this side, because you don't want to imagine if they decided to use the same Super Tucano in Owo or in Igogo or in Imo. You remember the last time the Southeastern were saying that even in Borno that you have these issues of Boko Haram, you do not deploy this kind of military. You see the way they are burning camps, burning everything and what have you. So that is why we are appealing to our people who are even trying to encourage these criminals or who are funding these criminals that they should think about the citizens and the livelihood of people around them. But I am very happy for the first time, at least in the life of this president, Muhammadu Buhari, that it is for everyone and not for everybody. But the only thing that I'm conscious about is that it is not enough to gazette it. But let us hear that from this morning, our Air Force officers, our Army officers are dancing, they call it Python dance, in the forest of Zamfara, in the forest of Sokoto, in the forest of Kaduna, in the middle of Niger State, so that at the end of the day, for once, people cannot, people ask themselves and said, people are now using rail service to travel. You know why? If you travel Lagos, like just 2 days ago, somebody was attacking Arepo, just close by to us. People cannot travel on Abuja, Kaduna Expressway for the fear of attack or banditry or what have you. People cannot travel in just. So the other way you can do is the vehicle that will not stop on the road, which is either rail service or you fly air. So if people can now begin to move their goods and services, transport themselves between interstate, look at what is happening in Ondo State or Ekiti. Even they are kidnapping monarchs, which are sacrilege. So if our military now start giving these people what they deserve and send them to who can forgive all of us, you will see that even development will come, foreign direct development will come, and the country will continue to grow as the way it's supposed to grow. All
right. Now, the deployment of the Super Tucanos, from what we understand, although we needed to get that clearance from some of the initial agreements that we had with the United States and all of that on how to deploy it, I understand we now have the clearance to use this, to deploy Super Tucanos. And it is also a good thing to note that the Super Tucano is a multi-dimensional weapon where it is not
precision,
only
stability,
exactly, and all of that. So we may not necessarily be, anyway, we wouldn't know how they are going to deploy, but the imagination that the kind of bombs that will be deployed, we just hope that is not the kind of ones.
No, it's not about the kind of bomb.
When you know how best to.
There is nothing called grade of bomb. See, we did not say a terrorist is a terrorist, whether you call it Boko Haram, ISWAP, ISIS, or Bandit. Once it has been gazetted that they are terrorists, the same full force that was used in Sambisa, that's currently going on in Borno, going on in Adamawa, is the same force that will be used in Sokoto and used in Zamfara. And that's why I'm saying that all of us want this bandit, but we need to be careful of what fits into the definition of bandits. Who name who as bandits? Because now it is obvious now that except the government want to not be true to themselves, if government go all out with all the super tanks to southeast when IPOB was rampaging the entire place, we need now to go and show our full force in north central and northwest to show indeed that indeed this is the Federal Republic of Nigeria and we have our independence, not having allegiance to the terrorists. Please, there is no sentiment about it. Bandits are terrorists. What happened to terrorists? Terrorists are always found with military tanks and Air Force crafts. So let federal government please this morning, we are appealing to the Air Vice Marshal Amo to deploy the team that were able to do fantastic job in a few weeks. Now that they are licensed to deal with this enemy of state, let us go and pound them and let us ensure that the president already told us that between now and the next 3 months, we will see the difference. Now it has been gazetted. We are hopeful that even before the end of January, we will get testimony from people in Borno, people in Zamfara, people in Sokoto, that governance has. You understand that the bandits are compelling the citizens to go back to pre-colonial era and be paying them tax. It's as bad as so you have government within government. So if you are now saying Boko Haram and ISWAP because of their sophistication use Super Tucano, bandits because they are our people use MI-35. No. A terrorist is a terrorist. A terrorist is trying to claim the territory of a nation, terrorizing. So the government again must use terror for terror. And the only way is that the government is authorized to use legitimate force to ensure that it is, what is the responsibility of any reasonable government? Is protection of life and property. And what the responsibility of Nigerian and Nigerian forces is to protect the territorial integrity of Nigeria. So there is no sentiment about it. I am appealing to General Leo Rabo, who is our CDS, that this morning, since we have done this yesterday, let us park all those the newly refurbished T7 tanks and carry them to Zamfara, Sokoto, Niger, Plateau, Kaduna, and Katsina. You can even imagine the effrontery that few kilometers to President's hometown, these boys are terrorizing the area. Let's carry them there and let the military go and do after New Year party with those people, and let's ensure that we bring sanity back into our country.
All right. Recall sometime last year, that respectable Islamic cleric Sheikh Gumi had warned against the issue of tagging bandits as terrorists, and he said there will be consequences for doing that. Now that it has been done, what scenarios are you looking at?
What is the consequence when they were not tagged bandits? The consequence was every day they come back to meet governors, sit down and collect millions. Some people in government circle have turned to the negotiators and making money. International organizations, NGOs are milking our people to give money to negotiate with people. What is the consequence? Now that the government is pounding them every day, even the bandits are now, before government used to appeal to them to come. Now the bandits are asking government to, what is the consequence for them? You have made the place ungovernable. You have made the place people cannot do business. Every day US sends circular that don't go, as I yesterday was saying, dual citizenship is liable to terrorists, to kidnapping. So what is yes, we agree that some of them are our brothers. They because of the system, they rustle their cow, they also want to rustle car back, and somebody infiltrated them, they become terrorists. What other things can we say about the thousands of lives that are lost daily in Zamfara, in Plateau, in Sokoto, in Zamfara? It's even an analogy over itself that you say we'll see the consequence. What other consequences are we expecting? Now life is coming back gradually to Borno State. The life is coming back gradually to Zamfara. A village said for 2 months is the first time there was no attack. Life is gradually coming back to Kaduna, and now with this the new development of yesterday, we are very sure that life will now return in full force after the military have done Egweke dance or Akendai or whatever name they want to call it. Their crocodile should go and smile. After the crocodile have finished smiling, let us see the crocodile smiling for the next 3 months. And Gumi, and let me shock you this. Gumi was saying the Tuji, the outer whatever was not killed. And one of social media commentator, Zara Onye, said, if you feel that the bandits are not killed, why don't you go and meet them when you normally meet them? If you know there are consequences and these people are not being attacked, let Sheikh Gumi go and meet them. It's the first time that Sheikh Gumi will come out and say, since you have deleted these people as bandits, I'm no longer talking to them. You know, before, there is a succor for the bandit that they feel that there is an important figure in society, an Islamic cleric, a scholar, that can talk to them and talk to government. So there's always something. But this time around, if Gumi even talk to terrorists or bandits, he's seen as an interface for terrorism. Exactly. So as such, there is no communication. So what we have now is that, see, in a situation whereby George will not work, they say you go war. Government has tried George, give them amnesty, call them to come and work, come back, give them money, tell them to do ranching, tell them to do ruga. They are refusing. Now government is going full force, and they are now asking government, and somebody is now saying government should pipe down. No, I don't think we need that now. Let us also try and use our military might in the next 3-4 months. If it now doesn't work, we all now come back and look at our casualty. Nigerians have suffered in those areas, military has suffered in those areas on guerrilla wars. Now let them also feel the heat. So when we are now look at it, okay, we now come back and say, okay guys, we have also done this so much. Now what do you want to say about the border? That now let our military with this new gazetting go pounding on this, and they should use the formula of Governor Nasir El-Rufai that they should do carpet bombing. Carpet means clear it to the surface, make sure that nothing existed. They said they are running to cliff. Start drawing bombs that we even caves and everything that start bringing them out. At the end of the day, let people in those areas see value for their life. See, let their children be able to go to school. Let them be able to access to good water. Let them be able to feel the dividend of democracy. Let them be able to vote for the right person, not under being coerced to do whatever they are doing. You see, voting in IDB camp more than voting in Lagos State. We need to ensure that if you are going to their area, we're able to map our country, do our census and what have you. But to stop now, because of the advice of consequences of Gumi, what other consequences do you have in a country that is not secure? Let us continue to use the military might and pounce them and use carpet bombing to ensure that we flush out these criminals from our society.
All right. We look forward to a clean Nigeria. Clean Nigeria in the context of, the Nigeria we used to know, where anyone, even at night,
we cannot even do. Normally, we use rodent trap and know this. If you can't go to your village now and say you want to go and do rodent or do this thing, because you are afraid of who will kidnap you.
Exactly.
So let the military continue to do their work and protect our integrity.
All right. We look forward to greater days ahead. Thank you, Obaniyi Akinwale, for coming on.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.